So, today we're going to introduce a completely new way of seeing the world. It's a framework for understanding the invisible forces that are constantly shaping our lives, everything from our biggest dreams to our most private, everyday moments. Okay, let's start with a big question. Think about the choices that really define your life, right? The career you're chasing, the person you fell for, hey, even what you ate for breakfast this morning. Now, all of those feel like deeply personal decisions, don't they? But what if they're not? What if they're actually the result of patterns and forces that you can't even see? So here's how we're going to tackle that question. First, we'll look at choices, chances, and society. Then we'll define what sociology actually is. After that, we'll dive into the sociological perspective, look at the architecture of society, and talk about why any of this really matters. And we'll wrap it all up with one last question for you. All right, let's get started. Section 1, choices, chances, and society. We're going to introduce what we call the sociological lens. This is all about exploring that deep connection between our own individual lives and the much, much bigger social world out there. You know, think about the decision to go to college. That feels like it's all on you, right? Your choice. But it's also deeply, deeply connected to what our society values about education, what the job market is demanding right now, and even your family's own history and background. The truth is, our most personal choices, they're almost never made in a vacuum. So to see these connections, we need a special kind of thinking. A sociologist named C. Wright Mills called it the sociological imagination. And it's this really crucial ability to basically step outside of your own personal experience for a minute and see how your own life is connected to these huge, sweeping forces of history and society. It's like seeing the bigger picture your life is a part of. Okay, so how do we actually develop this sociological imagination? Well, that brings us to the formal discipline that's designed for exactly that purpose, sociology itself. Let's look for the patterns, not just the people. Now, drawing from the work of sociologists like Anthony Giddens, we can define sociology as the scientific study of our social lives. And the key word there is scientific. It's not just about people watching. It's about systematically, carefully studying the patterns in our relationships, our groups, and even the entire structure of our societies. And this brings us to a really important point. We're not just puppets on a string, right? Society absolutely shapes our lives. There's no doubt about it. But we also shape society right back through our actions, our choices, our protests. It's a dynamic two-way street, and sociology is the study of that constant back and forth. Okay, now we're getting to the absolute core of the sociological perspective. It's a really critical distinction, again from C. Wright Mills, between what he called personal troubles and public issues. This is a game changer. Check out this comparison. When a single marriage ends, that's a really painful, very personal trouble for the people involved. But when you see that over a third of all marriages in a society are ending within 10 years, well, that's not just a collection of personal troubles anymore. That's a public issue. That pattern points to much bigger social trends, and it tells us something really fundamental about the institution of marriage in our time. You know, to really get a feel for this perspective, let's just take a super ordinary, everyday object. Maybe something you're even holding in your hand right now. A simple cup of coffee. What on earth can that teach us about society? Well, think about it. That one cup of coffee in your kitchen, it connects you directly to a farmer who could be thousands of miles away. It links your modern daily habit to centuries of global history. All of a sudden, this simple drink is revealed to be this tiny part of a huge, incredibly complex system. So when you look at it through that sociological lens, that coffee is so much more than just a drink. First, it's a social ritual, right? We meet for coffee. It's also a drug. It's the routine use of caffeine, an accepted stimulant. It represents global trade, connecting you to growers all over the world. It has a historical legacy. I mean, it's deeply tied to colonial expansion. And finally, your choice of which coffee to buy, fair trade, organic, whatever, that's a lifestyle choice, an ethical statement. All of that, every single layer is packed into that one little cup. See, thinking about something as simple as coffee in this way starts to reveal the underlying architecture of our entire world. So let's take a look at the building blocks, the forces that really shape us, that sociologists are always studying. Okay, so these are the core components of society. First, you've got social structure. That's the invisible framework of our relationships. Then there's power and inequality, which is all about who gets what, how resources and opportunities are spread out, often unevenly. Third is culture and norms. These are the shared values and rules that guide how we act. You could call them the unwritten rules of the game. Then you have the big social institutions, things like family, education, government, that organize huge parts of our lives. And finally, there's social change, which is just the recognition that none of this stuff is static. It's all constantly being rebuilt and remade by all of us. So, why should you care about any of this architecture? What's the point? Well, because understanding all these forces isn't just some abstract academic exercise. It has very real-world consequences. This is about moving from understanding to action. On a fundamental level, sociology gives us a kind of self-enlightenment. I mean, by understanding the social forces that are always pushing and pulling on you, you gain a much better ability to navigate them, and maybe even to influence your own future in a more deliberate way. And this understanding has some seriously practical benefits. It helps us become more aware of cultural differences. It lets us look at a new policy and assess what its effects might actually be. It helps us understand our own behavior better. It's also super helpful for all kinds of careers: law, journalism, social work, you name it. And maybe most importantly, it can empower entire groups of people to see that their personal troubles are actually shared public issues, and then organize to do something about it. It's just like Anthony Giddens says right here. This is not just some abstract field of study. It's a tool. It's a way of thinking that has major practical implications for real people's lives, giving us a way to engage with the world more effectively. And that pretty much brings us to the end. We've just handed you a new lens, a new way to see the world around you. So now it's your turn. Go use it. So, as you go about the rest of your day today, I want to leave you with this final question. When you're standing in a line or scrolling on your phone or just talking with your friends, try to notice something. What's an unseen pattern you can spot? What invisible social force is shaping that simple, familiar moment? Go on, go look for it.